Hi everyone. Am I audible?
Yeah, hi. It's audible.
Okay. Can you see my screen as well?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. So we don't have much time today. Uh, so see, in this class, what we are going to discuss, there will be two things. One is we'll start with SQL, and then once we are done with SQL, we'll start the programming part of SQL that is called PLSQL. So coming back to SQL, so this stands for structured query language, and this is the language using which we interact with the database. So whenever you are communicating with the Oracle database or any other RDBMS as well, so SQL will be the language that will talk with the database and it will perform certain actions. But basically, there will be only three operations that we do with the database. So first thing is that we create the data. We create the data whenever we need to create a new data. What we do, we use a statement insert. And this is the only statement that will be used for creating the data. Then what we do, we update or we change the data. So when we update or change the data, we use another statement that is called update. And again, there is only one statement that can be used to update or change the data. And the third statement is a delete statement. So whenever you want to delete the data, you want to remove something that has been created, you don't need that data now. So what we do, we delete the data. And for that purpose also, you use a single statement that is delete statement. So number of statements in Oracle or you can say SQL are very limited, and these statements perform some specific task that we have to keep in mind. So anybody is asking you, okay, we need to insert some data. So there is only one statement insert. We need to modify the data. We have to use update. We need to remove or delete the data, only one statement delete. And then they may say, okay, we want to see this data. Give me a report. Give me a report having all these informations. Then what we do, we write a query. And query, whenever we write, we use select statement. So most versatile SQL statement is select, and it can have various forms. And 90% of the time, what we do, we use only this query statement, select statement. And this is what you are also going to do when you get a job. It will be very rare that somebody will ask you to create the data or update the data or delete the data. We don't do that. We don't do that means as a technical person, we don't do that. So creation of data or modification of the data or deletion of the data, that is not done by the technical person. So when any data needs to be created, it is end user. End user will create the data. So take an example of a bank. Take an example of bank transaction. So when you perform a transaction, you withdraw some money from the bank. So when you are withdrawing a money, you are end user and you are creating the data as an end user. Okay, but suppose you are working for HDFC Bank and they ask you to analyze some issue. So when you are analyzing some issue, you are not the end user. So if you are not the end user, what you are supposed to do, you have certain limitation. You will not perform a bank transaction as a technical resource. Okay, so you as a technical person, your job is to resolve the issue, not to create the data. So whatever data has got created, that has been done by the end user. In order to replicate that problem, you may create some dummy data, but those are not the actual data. Those data does not have any value. So your role as a technical person will be totally different from the end user. And you will always think as a technical person that how you can provide a better user experience to the end user. So whenever you are implementing any requirement or whenever you are fixing any issue, you will always think about the end user. If I am the end user, how I would like to uh, implement or how I want technical person to implement this solution. Your thinking should be always on that line. Now, as a technical person, as I said before, as a technical person, it will be very rare that you will be using insert or update or delete in the production environment where data are getting created. You will not perform. So most of the time you will use this query part. But since we are going to learn the database, we will learn everything. Even we will learn how the structures are created where data is getting stored. Okay. Okay. Now come, I'm starting from the very basic thing. So why we need a database? Can anybody answer? Why we require a database? Okay. So we need a database to store information. And when you store information, what is the objective of storing the information? We will retrieve that information in future. So these are the two basic purpose of storing the data in the database. We store, we retrieve. Okay. So storing the information, again, as I said before, this is not job of technical person. Who will do what? That is a different thing. But everything is happening in the database only. Informations are getting stored by some people. Informations are retrieved by the some people. And generally retrieval of the information, this is performed by the organization. So say, take again example of HDFC Bank. So HDFC Bank management, they want to know what was the total loan given for this month from a particular branch of HDFC, or what was the total volume of transaction happened from a particular ATM of HDFC Bank. As a customer of the HDFC Bank, I am worried about only my data, my information. How safe is my money? My transactions are appearing correctly or not? My money is safe or not? I am getting proper uh, whatever FD interest or saving bank interest, whatever I'm supposed to get, I'm getting or not. There are no unauthorized transactions in my account. So as a customer, I'm worried about that. But as a management, they will think of many things and they will also plan for the future expansion of the bank. And in order to take any decision, in order to get the correct information, in order to get the proper insight, what is happening inside the bank, management will always need the information. And that is the reason various type of reports are generated or created by the technical person based on the requirement. So as a technical person, whatever you will do, that will be based on certain requirement. You will be asked to do that. Okay, so technical person, what they do, they have certain requirements. Okay, get requirement, but from where? They get requirement from the client. And who is client here? So client is who is paying the money for that implementation. Whatever we are developing, whatever code we are writing, whatever query we are writing, we go and go to the office, we work there. We work 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. At the end of the month, we get salary. Who is paying the salary? Client is paying the salary. Client is paying the salary so that these requirements are achieved. Okay, they need certain things to run the business. And for that purpose, they will say, okay, you are a techie guy, you get this done. I will pay you this much money. And then techie guy will implement that requirement using whatever like skills or whatever technology is required. Getting your mind? Any doubts so far? So
No, sir.
all technical person, they work for the client. Okay, now as I said, your client can be HDFC Bank, your client can be SBI Bank, your client can be World Bank, your client can be Indian Railways, your client can be any other big organization, say say Maruti or Hyundai or Toyota. These are the clients. So, but when you are learning or when you are trying to get a job, you always think about, okay, can I get a job in Accenture? Can I get a job in TCS? Can I get a job in Oracle? Can I get a job in IBM? Okay, so what are these companies? Say, take example of Oracle Corporation. So Oracle Corporation or somebody is working with TCS. So what is TCS? TCS, is it a client? No, TCS is not a client. TCS is what? TCS is your employer. They recruit you. But why they recruit you? Because TCS is getting work from the client. So work from, you can say they got some job from HDFC Bank. So HDFC Bank will contact TCS. I want these requirement to be implemented. These are the requirements that has to be done. They will contact TCS. TCS is having a work order from HDFC Bank. Okay, so TCS will see, okay, this requirement, we need 100 people. TCS will say we need 100 people or 1,000 people. We need 100 people with a particular skill sets. Okay, so TCS will recruit 100 people. TCS will pay the salary, but money for these 100 people and profit for TCS, everything will be paid by HDFC Bank. So technical people, they work for the client, that is HDFC Bank. Requirement, so TCS is in between. They will hire the people, they will put them to work for HDFC Bank. And then you will get requirement from the HDFC Bank, you will implement those requirements. After 1 year or 2 years, your project is over. You are still with TCS working for another client. They got another project. They'll put you in for another project. Your employer remains same. Your client got changed. This is how industry works. Okay, so you will be working for different clients. These companies are not recruited. They are not recruiter. They are having their IT infrastructure. They have hardware, they have software, they have their websites, they manage their banking system using the software. But who has made those softwares? or who is going to manage those softwares? If any bugs are found, who will fix it? Who will manage? Who will handle their IT infrastructure? If HDFC Bank is having their data stored in Oracle database, they need somebody who has knowledge of Oracle. But now HDFC Bank can directly recruit, but they don't have IT expertise. They are into banking. They know how banking can perform, what are rules, regulations. So they have expertise in banking. They are not the IT people. They are not the technical people. So they outsource that work to a company that has expertise in IT. And then these companies will see if they have required manpower or not. And if they don't have required manpower, they will hire the people. Okay, now while hiring, what are the skill sets they will consider? So they will consider, okay, HDFC Bank is having Oracle database. So they will think about hiring a people who has knowledge of Oracle. Great one. So it is very, very important that Oracle should have proper coverage in the market. Like most of the top companies, are they using Oracle database? If they are using Oracle database, demand of job will be more. Now, if you go by the market coverage, 80% of the database used by these top companies are Oracle database. You go to any big MNCs, any big company in India, they always use Oracle database. And since Oracle database is most widely used database, the demand for the technical person is always there. They always need Oracle tech guys. That is the market. So Oracle has 80% capture for the database in the market. That is the reason Oracle professionals are always in the demand. Okay. Okay. Now, when you're going to work, now see, there are different environments. Now, as I said before, there will be IT infrastructure. And this IT infrastructure will be created for development environment where all the developers will be working, developing the code. Okay, but this is not the environment. Now say, take the example of a net banking. So everybody is performing net banking, correct? That is a software. But if you are making a change and somebody is performing some transaction, so because of your change, those transactions may get impacted. So what companies do, they don't interfere in the production, something that is already live, a working system used by the end user. That is called production environment. So production environment, nobody is going to make a direct change in the production environment. So when you are a developer, you work here, you don't work here. Whatever you work here, that will get tested properly first. So for the purpose of testing, you again need a testing environment where mostly testers will work. Once it is tested successfully, it may move to staging environment or pre-prod environment. This is before production. And then once here also testing happens successfully, changes moves to production. Okay, so when it goes to production, then those changes are available to the end user. So now just see a piece of work that you are developing. You took 10 hours to develop here. Tester will take another 5 hours to test. Again, it will get tested here. Okay, and finally, if everything is fine, then only it moves here. And that is the reason that development activity becomes very, very costly, because everywhere technical people are involved, systems are involved. And suppose something was not developed properly, from here it may come back to here. And again, it will go through the same phases. So what we do, we always try to write a code that should not involve rework. This is very costly. So if you are able to write a neat code firsthand, then you are a good developer. And that is what we are going to learn here. How to write neat code, what can fail, what will never fail. Getting my mind? So those kind of things we will do here. So today I don't have much time. We started very late. I have to reschedule the time. We'll continue in the next class. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, thank you everybody. Bye.
But you provide everything.
Yeah, I will share the recordings.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.